Hey, hey, hey. This is Willie Cartwright with Saved to Sane. Glad to have you with us again today on the newest today's episode from Saved to Sane with Willie Cartwright. Glad to have everyone with us today. Wherever you are, whether you are catching this live broadcast or you are looking at it at a later date, a later time. We certainly appreciate having you with us. Those of you who are with us live, I want to say hi to all of you, whether you East Coast, joining us on the East Coast, which I guess it would be 7 o'clock your time there, Central or Mountain, or where I am, the Pacific time zone now. Spent all of my life in the Eastern, the Eastern time zone. The last couple of years I've been out here and loving it, enjoying it, as I always say. So thank all of you for joining us today. We have a very interesting topic that we will get into in just a second here. Um, if you're listening live, please send me a text message. I mean, a text message. Please send me a message in the chat. Let me know that you're with us live in the comments. Let us know what's going on. Say hi, leave a comment, make a comment, and we can discuss all of those things and get that going. But again, glad to have all of you. As I do every week or every time we come on here, I like to say thank you to a couple of people. Taisha Essick, hope she's out there doing her thing. Hope everything is fine with the family. Taisha, hope everything is good. Miss you on here, so maybe you can join us sometime soon, and then we can sort of catch up with some things. But thank you for everything you've done in the past, and certainly appreciate you helping us get lunch and get started. Then also to my wonderful wife, who is always supportive. Thank you for everything that you do behind the scenes, supporting me, asking me, checking the topics. She asked me today what the topic was, and so I want to make sure that's good. So glad to have that going on. Let me see. My book still on Amazon, still out there. From Save to Sane: My Journey Away from Christianity and Why Christianity Has Been Detrimental to the African American Community. Willie O. Cartwright. You can get this book on Amazon. You can send me a message in the comments here if you're interested in getting a signed copy. I can put my email address in there. You can send me your address information. I'll send you my Cash App information. It's $19.99 for a signed copy. I think it's the same price for just the book on Amazon. So appreciate your support. Please support us. Also, tell all your friends we need some subbies. We need more. We always need more subbies. Subscribers, we certainly appreciate that. Please subscribe to the channel. Leave comments. I try to answer all of them, but certainly leave comments and we can go from there. So, yeah, where are we today? Let's see. Why do people remain religious in spite of evidence to the contrary? Um, that's I'm the reason why this one of the reasons why this topic came up, and I'll give you the more direct reason in just a second. But in my 11 years now, post deconverting from Christianity, the things that I'm seeing, the things that I'm able to experience outside of the faith, sort of looking, outside of the forest, looking back at the trees, it is amazing to me the availability of information if you're just willing to research it and open your mind and be a critical thinker. The vast amount of information that is contrary to all the things that I was taught, and many of you who may have been religious, part of the Abrahamic faith or any faith for that matter, the amount of contradictory information and information contrary to what we've been taught to believe is enormous. And the fact that there are still so many believers out there in the face of all of this information just amazes me. I think I may have told you guys earlier, I have moved a lot of my social media discussions about religion to Thread, to the platform Thread. I think it's a broader community. It is a more international community. I moved it away from Facebook. Hey, Facebook is old. Facebook is full of old people who I think not going to change. A lot of family and friends are on Facebook, and so I just sort of got tired of that interaction. And so I think that thread, I think is more beneficial. I think I'm reaching more people, talking to more people. There's certainly many believers on thread who are easily triggered. Who anytime I post something, I literally get thousands of responses on threads. I literally for any post that I make, and I'm answering and responding to hundreds and hundreds of comments on it. Um, and so I see what I'm talking about. I see this on thread. I see people who will I will make a statement. It'll be a statement of fact about, for example, the most recent one was that we have no archaeological evidence that proves the existence of people like Abraham, Moses. There's like a couple other people that I named as well, and the response, the things that these believers throw back at me. Just off the top of my head, the most recent one was, and then they also attempt to redirect and get into the discussions about, well, what do you think we came from? Is it you evolution? You can't get something from nothing. All of that, and I'm quick to tell them that that's actually not what evolution or Big Bang says. But that's besides the point because it's an attempt for them to redirect. But one guy was just so secure in his response. He said, "Well, all you got to do is look at Run Wyatt in the museum." And I literally thought he was joking. I thought he was trolling. I thought he was joking. I thought he was trying to be funny. I thought he was being sarcastic. So I made a comment back, and then he emailed me back. No, for real, Wyatt and his museum is sufficient evidence that da 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 da. I said, "Are you freaking kidding me? He's a quack." I said, "There's no historians, scientists, or scholars that respect him, his work that he's done, or whatever if you call it work, or the museum." And so it's that kind of stuff that I'm just like, a simple Google search would tell you that this guy's a quack in his museum. In his museum, he says that dinosaurs and humans live together at the same time. He believes that the Earth is only 6,000 years old, so forth. So I mean, all this crazy, insane stuff. But anyway, Texas Goddess, what's going on? Glad to have you. I'm good. Glad to have you. Good. I hope the weather is treating you well out there in Texas. It's we're in the middle of a cool down here in the great state of Nevada. It is about 103 degrees. That is a cool down from the 114, 13, 115 that it was a few days ago. And it is a noticeable difference. My wife and I were talking about it today that you really notice the difference when it's 112, 115 to when it's 103, 102, 100 degrees. It is a noticeable difference. Plus, it's no humidity. So this is decent, especially for the month of August. But yeah, so it's great. So good to have you, Texas guys. Hope everything is good there. The weather is treating you well there. But as I was saying, and so that is one of the reasons why I always tell you guys how I came up with these topics. So that is sort of the overarching reason as to why this topic came up because of my experiences uh, over the last few months or whatever with dealing with threads and the comments from people. But the more direct reason, what's going on, Sharon? Glad to have you. Hope everything is well, Sharon. Uh, the more direct reason why this topic came up, and actually the topic came up prior to this, but I was invited by I'm part of a number of groups. Hey, Amanda, good to have you too. Good to have you as well. So I'm part of a number of secular groups here in the city outside of Vegas. Um, Amanda says hello to everyone. And so one of the groups that I'm in, one of the ladies invited me to this sort of secret secret group that they have, and it's not an atheist or agnostic group. It's a bunch of everybody. It's about 8 to 10 people, and they get together on what was last night? Tuesday nights, and sort of talk about religion in a sense. And let me give you the background really quick. So there is a guy um, who is he's a part of, he used to be part of a cult. And he's still in the church, but he's no longer part of the cult. So he's more of a sort of a moderate church. It's not quite progressive, but it's not an evangelical or a fundamentalist church. So it's kind of in the middle, right? And then there's another guy who attends that same church, so he's kind of in the middle there. And there's a third guy, and there's a woman. I really don't know what her. This is only my second or third time going, so I don't know what's her religious uh, standing is or whatever positioning. And then there's a lady who invited me. She's a hardcore atheist. And then there's a guy who has like 5 PhDs or whatever, but he's very chill, older guy. And I just found out yesterday that he thinks more in lines of me. So he's atheist or whatever. But anyway, listening to them talk last night, what I'm starting to realize is that it is so hard for people to see the information that's out there and break away from religion. And so those who are so compelled that, okay, I know that this is something that's wrong. I know the way that I was indoctrinated is a problem. I know that this stuff is not true. What I'm starting to see is that people are starting to sort of create their own religion, right? And so we asked one of the guys yesterday, and he talked about, well, it's not necessary. Neither one of these guys believe in the Abrahamic God. They don't believe in the Old Testament God, the God who punishes you, the God who's angry, the God has wrath. They believe in this nice, calm, great God, or they believe in this in a some kind of intelligent, universal spirit. And they believe that everyone who wants to can go to heaven. There's no hell. It's just a combination of different things. Because they're wanting to make it more comfortable and palatable for them to accept without actually leaving religion altogether and leaving their beliefs. Um, and so we're going to get into the topic, but this is sort of an intro and part of it. One of the things I want to share with you guys is some of the things that I heard that I find somewhat disturbing. So as I'm speaking to these two of these guys, one of the guy, hey, what's going on, D.O.? Glad to have you. Peace out, peace. What's going on, D.O.? One of the guys who just went through AA, Alcoholic Anonymous, and the 12-step program, and it was up and it was like 2 years ago that I found out that AA was loosely affiliated with religion. Like you had to be a believer in some kind of God or whatever in order to be part of AA. I just thought that was crazy, but I didn't know that. I'm not an alcoholic. I don't even drink anymore. I don't even drink. So I didn't know. But anyway, this guy's part of AA. He went through the 12-step program. He talked about how they want you to believe in something outside of you, something bigger than you, because if not, then they feel like that you're going to fail, right? Okay, great. So one of the things that this guy tells me is that if it wasn't for his belief in a power outside source, a God or whatever you want to call it, that he would do harmful things to himself and other people. And me and the other lady who's an atheist just sort of sat there and stared at him. And so the other guy said, wait a minute, he asked me the same question. So I asked him, and he pretty much said the same thing. And he talked about how he had a psychological evaluation when he was much younger, but that he truly believes that if it wasn't for his belief system, that he would harm other people, like, walking into a room with an AK-47 and shooting at everybody. And I said, are you freaking serious? I said, so you need a book or you need a divine overseer to tell you that harming other people and harming yourself is wrong. I said, now listen, if that's what's keeping you from doing it, then that's fine. Fine. Keep believing whatever you believe. But I find it to be sad and pitiful. I said, I don't harm you or others because I don't want to. I'm a human, you're a human. I'm empathetic and sympathetic to the fact that you're a human. And if I see you suffering, it's like seeing myself suffer. I said, we have basic humanity. And then we got into this conversation about morality And I said there is no objective morality because I know where that leads. Well, if there's objective morality, then there has to be an objective morality giver, which means an intelligent source. But I've never believed in objective morality. Morality is subjective and contextual, and we've had this discussion, and I told him we can talk about it at a later date. But anyway, so that also said, okay, this topic is timely because these individuals know that this stuff is bullshit, but they can't break away from it. I guess the two of these guys is a good thing, I guess, that they can't break away from it because who knows what they would be doing, what type of harm they would be causing. But I thought it was just really interesting and even scary to a point that these people really think that they need a divine overseer and a book to make them act right, to make them not harm or want to harm themselves or other people. So those are some of the people who that we're coming in contact with um, as you matriculate through life at your job. These people are at church. These people are at church every Sunday with these thoughts of harming other people. If it wasn't for the fact that this one guy said, "Well, I probably would have committed suicide, except suicide is one of the sins that you can't get forgiven for. I can't go to heaven." Which, as a kid, I learned that you couldn't sin against the Holy Ghost and you couldn't self-murder. Those are the two unforgivable sins, right? So he said that's one of the reasons why I suicide was out because I can't go to heaven if I did that. The fact that you call yourself a Christian or a believer and you contemplate suicide, it just doesn't gel to me. Something is wrong, right? So anyway, so we talk about, so what are the reasons that these people hear the overwhelming evidence that this stuff is man-made and made up? Now listen, let me be fair because there are gonna be people who pick this up later. Um, I am at no point where I'm saying that I am 100% sure that there is no God, right? But I have not seen compelling enough evidence to make me believe in one. Also, if the Abrahamic God was real, and everything that I've read about him in the Bible, the Quran, the Jewish Bible, whatever, if that was the same person, then he wouldn't be worth my praise anyway. I would acknowledge that he is real, I guess. Um, in spite of what they tell us about hell, I may take my chances because I just cannot see worshiping this entity for eternity, right? But as of today, there is no compelling evidence that make me believe that any of these gods are real. So that is my position. So when I talk about this topic, I'm talking about it from that position. So there is no objective, corroborated, non-biblical evidence that proves the existence of God or any gods whatsoever. It's just not there. And by definition, God could not be proven because we're talking about objective evidence, which would be actual evidence that is tangible, that could be tested. And if that was the case, then this entity wouldn't be supernatural because we will be able to notate it or examine it in the natural. But long story short, there is no evidence that convinces me that a God exists, at least a God that we talk about. Could there be something else outside of us in the universe, whatever? Absolutely. And even that is, you still would have to prove to me that that is a God based on the definition, right? And so I want to just make that clear. That's where we're coming from. So when I talk about the evidence, there is no evidence that proves that. And so why are these? And you could do a quick Google search on either of these topics. So the information is there. So I wanted to talk about, in spite of all of the available evidence through the internet, through research papers that you can pull up, whatever, um, many people still choose to believe. Now, as we know, there are people who are falling away. people who are choosing not to no longer believe, or as I said earlier, people who are kind of making up their own religion. They're taking a little bit here, a little bit from this, a little bit from that, and creating sort of their own religion or their own God per se, right? Um, but as we talk about it, one of the reasons why is because, and this is I think this is the most important reason, is the conditioning. Is the fact that we were indoctrinated and conditioned from childhood. Santana says, "Hey, Santana." Oh, not Santana. I'm so sorry. Oh, I can't see. Let me have these glasses. Satan's little helper. I'm so sorry. Uh, oh, peace, fam. Satan's little helper says, "God is not worthy." Absolutely, I completely agree. Not worthy. Amanda says, "Fear and comfort." Absolutely. And so I want to begin with what I think is the most important one is just the early indoctrination that most of us received. And so when you start early on indoctrinating kids, kids are very impressionable. Their brains are not developed. They naturally trust the adults around them. So if the adults around them are saying that this God is real, this is how you should worship, this is how you should live your life, then that is going to be indoctrinated in you year after year after year after year. And so there's years, decades before the mind has developed enough to where the person can use critical thinking to evaluate. By that point, it is all over. And so this is one of the reasons why I am very reluctant to criticize um, my Christian friends who are at least formally educated or highly intellectual beings, right? I know there's a belief in the secular space that most religious people are not intellects. They're not very smart. And I would push back on that because some of the smartest people I know outside of just a formal education, because we all know that a formal education is not a true or the total indication of how intelligent a person is. But I know people who are formally educated at the highest of levels, and I know people who are just extremely intellectual, who are extremely smart. And all of these people, most of these people still believe in a God, in spite of the contrary evidence, in spite of the evidence to the contrary. Many of these people still believe. And it is not because these people are slow or not because these people are not intelligent. It is because this was indoctrinated into them at a very early age. And then we get to the points that Amanda said, fear and comfort. But once this is ingrained in us at an early age, it is very, very, very difficult for us to break away from this. Those of us who got the early indoctrination and have been able to break away, we should consider ourselves extremely fortunate because we are in the minority. We are in the vast minority of those people. Neo said they are very smart. They only sound dumb when they try to just. And you right, and that's right on point, Neo. They are very smart, but when they try to defend this stuff, they're doing mental gymnastics. Stuff is coming out of their mouths that is asinine and makes absolutely no sense. It is nonsensical, and so you stop and you say, wait a minute, this is a very bright person, but what they're because the stuff doesn't make sense, and so you have to sound like an idiot in your defense of it, and that's really what happens. And I've said this to people so many times. Do you really hear the things that you are saying, right, in defense of this stuff? But that's the power of the indoctrination. That's how, when it's in you for years and years and decades, you feel like you have to defend this. And so, what I found refreshing last night with this group was that um, it they started stripping away things and started saying, "Well, I don't believe in this. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in this." Now, initially, I said, oh, so you're cherry picking the Old Testament, because I know what happens. But they're like, no, no, no. I'm just, this doesn't make sense. And this doesn't make sense. And this doesn't make sense. And I almost kind of appreciate that more than at least my experiences with most of the Christians I've known from down south, especially African Americans, who believe it all, that the entire Bible is inerrant, that it is true. And when you engage with them, discussions about slavery and rape and misogyny and child murder, that their God did and committed, then it becomes a crazy conversation because they can't justify it and still sound intelligent, as Neo said. Um, Amanda said, I have to be honest, I still have moments of doubt, fear, and questioning. I'm about 75%. Amanda, I may have told this story a long time ago. Um, when we first deconverted, right, we still had our business, my wife and I. We had a very successful business, and at that point, we had the business for 7 years because we deconverted in 2015. We started the business in 2008. But Amanda, I'll tell you, every time we had a slow week, a slow month, a slow day, it was in the back of my mind that maybe God is punishing us. Even to the point, even to the point where my wife, and she's all right with me talking about this because we talk about this a lot. Even to the point where my wife is going through some mental stuff, right? Um, and I've told this story, and this was 3 years, 2 or 3 years into our deconversion. She was going through some mental stuff, and me, I'm an old school dude. I grew up in the hood, and we hear about people going through mental stuff. Either that's the devil trying to get you, or you just crazy. We ain't seeking no kind of professional treatment for that. But I learned through that experience that mental illness is real. And so I had to change. But prior to that, it was difficult for me. And so, Amanda, we even attempted to go back to the church because we thought that this may have been uh, God punishing us, right? And I even had, and I talk about intellectual people. My mentor, a guy who I think is still the greatest man that I've ever, one of the greatest men that I've ever known. He's a pastor. Um, I have tremendous respect for him. And he had us at his church, and he even told me that this is happening to your wife because God is trying to get through to you. He wants you back in the fold. He wants you to be a speaker for him. And I lost. I had never been so angry at him. I had never been so angry in it. I mean, it was. I can remember. I cannot remember being that angry because I was thinking, well, this God, why would he punish my wife to try to get at me, knowing that this is not going, if he's an all-knowing God, he know that this is going to do just the opposite. It is going to make me even more want to leave the church even more, right? And so we went through that. And so for years, Amanda, I anytime something bad would happen, I would think, oh, God is trying to punish us. But what I did was I started thinking, I said, did these same things happen to me? These same things happen to me when I was a believer. And the answer was, not only did these same things happen to me when I was a believer, worse things had happened to me when I was a believer. Not to say that worse things are not down the line, because who knows? Eventually we all gonna die. Who knows what the illness or sickness or how it's gonna be. Um, but I thought about it. I said that, but so I said to myself, but it's really no different. What's happening to me today, now that I'm a non-believer, are the same things that happened to me when I was a believer. So what am I losing? And I say, even when I was a believer, there were worse things that happened to me. So this is just part. And so what I said was, this is just part of me being human, me having a human experience. Us, my wife, we're having a human experience. All businesses go through ebb and flow, right? The good, the bad. You got good moments, you got good periods, you got slow periods, you got whatever. We were fortunate enough to be able to sell the business in 2024, so it got better. And so, yeah, my wife. Here's the thing. Here's our ironic thing, Amanda. Um, we went back to the church to try to get help for the condition, her mental mental illness that she was going through at the time. The church did all of the churchy things. They prayed every day. They laid hands on her. All of this. And we went to multiple churches to try to get this figured out, right? It wasn't until we sought non-religious professional help. A lady who was a professional, who had gone to school, who had the training, who was not associated with a religion or a church. We went to her, and in a relatively short time, my wife was better, much, much better. And after about some months, maybe even a year, she was completely good, back to where she was before. And since that time, this lady's business had just blown up. It had nothing to do with us, but my wife got in early, and now you can't even get. I mean, it's difficult to even get an appointment with her, and her prices have skyrocketed. And good for her. But yeah, so we went through that, but the indoctrination is so powerful until it still had me saying, "Oh, baby, this God is punishing me. This God is, oh my God, he don't like me leaving. We should have stayed." And we had people in our own family told us, "Well, this is why this is happening to you." Not only my mentor was a pastor, but family members was telling us that. So yeah, catching up on these comments. Where did we stop? Oh yeah, Amanda was talking about how she had to be honest in still moments. So yeah, Amanda, just work through it. Just know that it's not. We just have human experiences. Things happen to all of us, good, bad, indifferent. It doesn't matter what we believe or don't believe. Life is still going to hit us. Whether I believe in a God or not, this life is still going to hit me. And so you just gotta go on. And so people will use their belief system as a way to cope, and that's fine. There are a million other ways that I cope with when things are, not good. I mean, I read, I spend time in nature. I talk to my wife. I meditate. I have a couple of men groups that I'm part of. I vent with them. I figure out a solution to the problem and I fix it. So there's a multitude of ways. I travel. I go to the ocean. Whatever it is, there's different ways of dealing with it. So Amanda said, born and raised bishop's daughter and granddaughter. This isn't easy. No, it's not. It's not at all. My mother was a pastor before she passed away, and we had always been in the church. And so I knew that was going to be a hard conversation. Unfortunately, and I've said this before on the show, unfortunately, my mother passed before we got a chance to have that conversation. I deconverted in 2015. For almost a year, I did not tell her. She would ask me about church service, and I would, lie and say, well, we didn't go for whatever reason. I would make up a reason why we didn't go. And then eventually I told her that that I no longer believed the way that she believed, and that we would get together in the upcoming holidays to talk about it. And that was, and I think 6 months later, less than a year later, my mother passed away. So we never got a chance to have that conversation. My sister and I, who are very close, we've talked about it. She's very, very devout. And so we've talked about it, but I didn't get a chance to have a conversation with my mother. But I do know that she was very, very disappointed. She said some really harmful things and some hurtful things to my sister about us. This is just me being transparent. I've said this before on the show. I don't care. It's just the truth. And so, yeah. But yeah, so you will get through it. Continue to seek out shows like this, people like us. There are groups online, and I don't know. You live in Texas. Woo, that's a hard one. I don't know. Are you in Texas? I'm thinking about Texas guys. I don't know where you are, Amanda. But even when I lived in Atlanta, there was a Black non-believers group in Atlanta. There are a host of groups out here where I am now, but in Atlanta, so those type of groups I think should be available in every state, or at least many states. If not, then certainly social media. There are some places that you can plug into where there are people who are dealing with the same thing that you're dealing with, what all of us are dealing with. That can really help you. If not, send me a message and I'll try to help you find some places wherever you are so that you can plug into. I'll have to try to find some resources for you. Neo says, please hit the like button. Yes, thank you, Neo. Yes. Amanda said, "Thank you for sharing." Absolutely, this is what this show is. This is really the heart of what this show is about. This is really why I do this. It's because I am fortunate enough to be in a position. And when I say fortunate enough, I'm not talking about financially fortunate enough, but fortunate enough to be in a position where I am not beholden to a company or someone else, to where I can't be open about my disbelief, right? And so many people are not. I know a lot of people who are closeted for fear of losing a job or for fear of severing relationships with family members, spouses, significant others. And so because I've been privileged to be in a position where that's not the case for me, I am willing to share this information and sort of be the surrogate for those of you. You come on here, and this is a open platform. This is a private platform. None of this stuff gets repeated out there. So yeah, so we're good here. Amanda said, "Wow, thank you." Sage Little Helper saying, indoctrination short-circuited short circuits critical thinking. Absolutely, 100%. You cannot be a critical thinker and still be part of the indoctrination. You just can't. It's impossible. That's why getting them while they're young is so important. Creates lifelong servants. And there are studies out there. I know it's a Catholic Church or some other churches, but there are studies out there that shows that the importance of getting kids and people while they're extremely young, because the indoctrination it takes really easy and is embedded in us, and it follows the vast majority of us for the rest of our lives. And so yeah, absolutely. Who's that? Coco Hayes, glad to have you. You saying what's up to Neo? Good. Maybe Neo brought you over here, so glad to have you. Hello, everyone. Hello, Coco. Glad to have you. If this is your first time, if it is, we are so happy to have you join in on the conversation. If it's not your first time, I apologize, but I'm just happy to have you here. Amanda said, "Me too." Amanda said, "Thanks for sharing." You're in Minneapolis. Well, that's fairly progressive. It's a fairly progressive, but it's only 3 Black. That's true. It's not a lot of you guys there. So I would suggest plugging into some groups on social media, finding some Black atheist groups or Black non-believers groups or Black free thinkers groups. I'll do some research, Amanda, in my spare time, and I'll see if there are any physical groups there in your area. One of the things that I will say, Amanda, is, and I'm experiencing that here. There are not a lot of Black free thinkers, period. Regardless of where we are in the spectrum, whether we are a free thinker, a humanist, an agnostic, an atheist, someone who's questioning our faith, wherever we land in that spectrum, there are not a lot of us. And so when you move out of a predominantly Black area, and that's a double-edged sword, because if you're in a predominantly Black area, most other people that look like us are going to be extremely devout. Black non-believers of Atlanta, and they have other chapters, I think, throughout the country, was one of a few organizations. It is the most prominent Black non-believer organization, but it's one of the few. And so what I've had to do here outside of Vegas is sort of align myself with groups where there are literally no one that looks like me. But I'm a big personality, and so I'm good. But it is not easy. I'm still making sure, and the people here have been absolutely great. There's a Sunday Assembly group here. There's a Atheist Roundtable group here, and there's a couple of other groups here, and they all have been fantastic. I think out west is a little bit more open, and so sometimes we may have to, from a physical standpoint, seeing other people who think like us, they may not look like us. But again, I would encourage you to get onto social media and find those groups that do look like us, because there are some out there on social media. And so it kind of go from there. Um, let's see. Say said we out here, stay strong and true to yourself. Absolutely, absolutely. Uh, let's see. Message to you on YouTube. Yeah, or you can. Let me put my email address in here. This is one of many email addresses, but this is the one I look at the most and follow the most because you can tell because it's old. It's at Yahoo, but it's on my phone. It's on all of my devices, so it's just and I have eight other. I have Gmail accounts and other accounts, but that's the one that I look at the most because I've had it the longest. So yeah, if you want to send a message, reach out to me absolutely, and we'll do that research. Neo saying, hey to Coco. Neo, if you are responsible for bringing Coco over here, I certainly appreciate that so much. Hey, when y'all come to Vegas, you got to look me up, Neo. We got to hang out. You and your partner, we need to hang out, man. Me, you, your partner, my wife, we need to hang out. So y'all need to come to Vegas. I'm not coming back to Atlanta. Actually, I do have to come back, but it'll be a quick in and out. Let's see. You shared. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it, Neo. Neo is y'all don't understand. Neo is my dog. Neo is my dog. But let me get back to the topic. But before I do that, hey, if you don't know Neo, you guys are on here. If you don't know Neo, please follow Neo's channel. I'm not just saying that because she shared my video. I'm saying it because she is fantastic. Great topics. She shortened her podcast from 6 hours to whatever it is now is a lot. They are a lot shorter, but fantastic content, fantastic information. And Neo don't play. Neo did not play, so she gonna make sure that people know where they are and they gonna stay in their place. So love that about Neo. So absolutely support Neo and the rest of us that are in this space. Satan said, "Yep, expect your circle to shrink zero. That's the reality." Yeah, it will. Especially the people that look like you. Because I've been in this space a long time, Amanda. I do have. It's like anything else. Like I never noticed a red Lexus until I got one. Right, until I got. And I'm not saying I'm not. I'm just saying the color and the type of car. You never noticed it. So I didn't have any black atheist friends or non-believer friends until I became one. So now I have friends who are black and non-believers who I probably would have never met because I never searched for them. I didn't have a reason to. But now that I'm in that space, I meet them all the time now. And so I have some who are really, really good friends. They're in Atlanta. I have some here. I have some in Atlanta, but it's not a lot. It's not a lot. Like Saint Little Helper said, it's not a lot, but I do. And so you won't really find them until you really get into that space. I'm gonna say I expect it to shrink. Right now, only 3 family members know, sisters and cousins. Yeah, and that is a difficult one. Do that at your own pace. Do it at your own time. It is not necessary per se that everyone has to know. It's up to you, however you want to do it. If you worry that it may strain some relationships, then just be careful how you approach it. I still everybody pretty much that I'm a non-believer. But I try not to make it a focal point when we get together. And I have friends, family members, even my fraternity brothers, who they will take shots at me when we see each other. And they come to Vegas all the time, and they always call me, let's hang out. But before the night is over, they're going to take a shot. They're going to say something. And so it's fine, but I don't make it the focal point, because even when I was a believer, that shouldn't be the focal point of who I'm. A human being who just happened at that time to be a believer. Now I'm a human being who just happens to be a non-believer. Things like that shouldn't change. I love the comments and the input. This is great. Neil, Neo said, yeah, absolutely, Neo. We're gonna hang out. Neo said 2 to 3 hours. I'm going live tonight at 7. Neo is going live tonight at 7. Is that 7? 7 now. Are you saying 7 my time, which would be 10 your time? Is that what you're saying, Neo? Because I want people to follow you, to check you out. Let me know, Neo. You're saying 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, because 7 Eastern Time is right now. So I'm about to say, we said that. And then I'm a realist. I'm not dumb to the reality of my position. So I know what comes with the territory. Absolutely, absolutely. And we all do that. We, especially growing up black, black people gonna have a heart attack that you don't believe anymore. Oh, you in Illinois? What? You in Illinois? Oh, we gotta talk. What's going on? We gotta talk. Okay. All right. So that's coming up soon. That's in about, because you would be Central Time. Is that Central Time? Um, let us. So that should be Central Time. So what is that? 5 my time. So it's coming up soon. All right. Well, great. Yeah, you guys, after my show, go run over to Neo's show. Uh, okay. Got you. Got it. Thank you, Neo. Texas Goddess said, I think at some point people must be themselves and not hide because of a job. The universe is abundant. There are other ways to make money. I would agree with you, Texas. Texas Goddess. The thing for me though is that everyone's situation is different, right? Because of my personality and because of how I've always lived my life, it was easier for me to say, boom, this is who I am. Because for lack of a better term, phrase, I've always been, I don't give a fuck. That's just, I've been that person in my life, and people have known that. And so it wasn't hard for me to say, this is who I am, and I don't give a damn if you like it or not. And so, but everyone is not like that. And also in my circle of friends and in my family, um, at least my mother and my sister, they sort of revered me. So it was like, and so no one came at me like that. Even my mother, because the comments she made, she said it to my sister and not me. Friends, I'm the kind of person that, we're friends. We've been friends forever. If this bothers you and we can't be friends anymore, then so be it. And I'm not just saying that. My actions showed that. And so I lost some friends, but it was never a big deal to me. But here's the thing: the people who are really my friends, I those people are still my friends. I have people, a lot of my fraternity brothers I've been knowing for 30 plus years, who, and some of them are ministers. We are still cool. We are still cool. They throw little shots here and there, but they also respect my position and the way I come at it. So yeah, but everyone is not privileged to be that person and have that type of persona about them. And it's not always a good thing, but it's just who I am, and I can't change who I am. So I think everyone is different. And so I always say to people, do it at your time, do it at your own pace, do it when you're comfortable, because it is a major thing. It is a big, especially in our community. Neo said, okay, we talked about that when Neo said, okay, Texas gotta say, yes, people are different, and I respect that. I just no, I appreciate your thought, and I am with you to a certain extent, but I also want to make sure that so this is a space where we're welcoming to all, and we talk about all approaches, and so I don't want to do a one size fits all, because again, everyone's situation is different. Every person is different. See, yeah, I am too. Texas got to say I'm bold like that, but I understand I am too. But I also understand that everybody is not bold like that. Um, and I think even with my wife, who is still spiritual, but doesn't believe in the Abrahamic gods, and her mother is very religious, very devout. She sort of did it in phases. I mean, she would say little stuff, and her mom like, but no, but you still believe in some, you know. And she would say, and she was saying, but I was all the way out, so they already knew. They thought I was crazy. They already knew. Oh, Willie's gone. So yeah, so it was one of those things, and so I've watched other people do that, and so it's just we just want to be a resource for all of us, regardless of how we do it, when we do it, even if we do it, right? And so, a couple of things I want to touch on real quick before we end this. I think Amanda earlier talked about fear and comfort. So that's a big one. The fear, even fear of hell, and I've talked about this before. How the fear of hell was the first thing that I had to get over when I deconverted. Just the idea of burning in hell. Guys, we're going to do a part 2 of this because I have like 15, a list of 15 reasons why why people are still holding on to religion, and we're only on number 3, I think. But I appreciate, I love it. It's great. But yeah, so the fear thing is I had to get over the whole burning in hell thing, right? Suppose it was the first thing that I tackled. So I did my research on the origins of hell, at least the biblical hell, how we got it, where it came from, why it's not really mentioned in the Old Testament, at least the way that we see it in the New Testament, where we got the idea from, even before Dante's Inferno, the symbolism, the images, the imagery that we got, and why the imagery is important and how it affects us. And so I had to get over all of that because that was the first thing. And so once I was able to do that, once I conquered that, then it made things a little bit more easy. And then yes, absolutely, the whole comfort. It's like anything else. You don't grow by remaining comfortable, right? It was just something in me that said and I think people are built differently. There are those of us who are just lifelong learners. I am one of those people. I've been to 4 different schools, 4 different universities, 3 degrees. And so I am a lifelong learner. Like many of you who read, I read as much as possible. I got a book now, which is about 600 pages. It's a great book, and I'm going to talk about it because it's about Christ Conspiracy, but the second edition, the most recent edition. It's about 600 pages, so I'm right in the middle of that book. But it's a great book, and I'm going to talk about that at some point. But yeah, but staying comfortable was just not for me. It's not been my personality. It's not how I've lived my life, and so this was par for the course. Me questioning religion. And so I understood that it was very uncomfortable because believing in this spirit and this God thing and saying when I die I'm going to go to heaven and I'm going to see my loved ones again. All of that sounds beautiful. All of that sounds great. All of that is extremely comforting, right? Even in your life where things are not going well, you have a belief that this God is going to somehow make things better. If it doesn't change the situation, whatever is somehow going to comfort you. It's going to make you feel good. So that comforting feeling was there. But I said, forget all of that. I want to know truth, and I want to live my life in my truth, right? And so I had to get out of that comfort zone. And some of you will have to get out of that comfort zone to continue. But again, it is not easy. It is difficult, that comfort and that fear of hell. And so I'm going to wrap up with this last fear, quote unquote. The fear of death, right? I think we all at some point, and if we live long enough, there's going to come that fear of death. To me, when I think about it, it's more so of I'm going to be here, and then one day I'm going to be gone, and that's it. It is not so much of a fear of death. It is just the fact that it's final. When I talk to people about losing a loved one, those of you who've lost a parent or a sibling or someone really, really close to you, when my mother passed, the most difficult thing to deal with was the fact that it was final. Like that was it. Like there would be no more phone calls Monday and Friday or whatever. There'd be no more visits, no more holidays together, no more conversations. That is just final, right? And now we are coming up on like this is the ninth year that she's been gone. Um, which last month was 9 years. And I know for a fact that if my mother could come back and tell me how wrong I am, she would. But the death, the fear of death, and that it being final, is one of the things that keep so many people connected to religion. Because religion tells you, especially the Abrahamic religions and Christianity, tells you that you're going to wake up one day and you're going to be in heaven and you're going to be surrounded by your loved ones, even your pets, depending on how your pastor says it or whatever. But that you're going to see these loved ones again, and that C word, that is comforting to a lot of people. Having that belief that I'm going to wake up one day and I'm going to be alive again. I'm going to be in heaven worshiping God. I'm going to be around my loved ones, my mom, my dad, my siblings, my kids, whatever it is. And as an atheist, as a non-believer, I believe when you're dead, you're dead. It's just done. But that is so hard for a lot of people to do. And some of that, let's be honest, some of that is just ego. Some of it's like, I can't believe that I'm going to spend X amount of years here and then that's just going to be it for me. In the grand scheme of things, our lifespan is minuscule compared to the universe, everything else that's going on. We're here for a minuscule amount of time, a very, very, very tiny amount of time. And so none of us are special. None of us. I know some people like to think that they are, but my wife and I talk about this all the time. When people die, the closest people to you, they're going to have those memories for a while. But everyone else, at some point, you're going to be long and forgotten about. And I'm good with that. My ego is not like that. I'm good with that. But for a lot of people, that they can't deal with the fact that at some point they're going to cease to exist, and that eventually no one is going to know who they are. We see these people who donate, and these buildings get named after them, and these streets get named after them. 99% of the people that walk into these buildings or drive up and down these streets or go into these schools, they can care less about the name on the school. They don't care who's the person behind that name. They don't even ask. There may be a placard in the school or the building that talks about the person, their donation, or why the school or the building was named after them. But no one gives a damn. No one gives a damn. They don't. If they don't know you personally, if they're not part of your family, no one cares. And so, yeah. So let me say, I'm not afraid of death. I'm afraid of how it might happen. Just want to be fast and pain free. Yeah, all of us would love to okay, I go to sleep, a peaceful sleep, and I just don't wake up. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't want it to be painful. I don't want it to be. I want it to be fast, or even in my sleep. I don't want it to be painful at all. I don't want to suffer from some debilitating disease that's long term, some terminal debilitating disease that takes 5 or 10 years, and I suffered through it all. So yeah, they can't have you said they can have these bills and this place. Absolutely, they can have it all. My school loans, it's gonna be here for generations. Okay, they can have these school loans, right? Yeah. No, they don't know. They don't know the folks. No, they don't. And so we have to. But that's part of some of the whole fear of death. I'm gone. That's some of that is ego. Some of that is the comfort of knowing or believing that you're going to see someone again. I'm not going to see my mother. And especially even if my mother was right, I wouldn't see her because I don't believe it. So she would be in heaven as mean as she was. she would be in heaven and I would be burning in hell, right? So we're not gonna see each other anyway, right? But yeah, and I'm gonna end it with that. Yeah. Sharon saying, when I'm dead, I'm dead. And that is a perfect way, perfect segue to end this. When I'm dead, I'm dead. And so yeah, thank you all. We got through maybe like 4 of them, so we have like a bunch more to go. But I certainly appreciate this is this makes it the most enjoyable for me when we get the feedback and the comments, and we can dialogue and talk about these things. Also, even more so and even more important is when one of the family, and this is a family, one of the family in the case today, Amanda, was open about her struggles, and so I and the rest of us were able to give her some reassurance, and hopefully some practical resources that can really help her with that. Thank you, Neo. Y'all go over to Neo's show and watch Neo's show. I'm gonna get me something to eat because it is 5 o'clock here. I do intermittent fasting, so I have not eaten at all today. So I'm starving, so we'll do that. You guys have a great rest of your week, and I will see you in 2 weeks. Amanda, see my message if you need to. Thank you guys so much. This was fantastic. And I'll see you guys in 2 weeks.